Hi, you guys. This is Renata. I am catching up on my listener question videos. I'm almost caught up. I still have a couple more I need to do. I posted one last night, and I'm posting this one today, and who knows, I might get to another one today. So if you have a listener question, please shoot me an email at remu2@hotmail.com, or you can post your question in the comment section on one of my videos, and I'll see it. I will try my best to answer it. These are good for me because over the years that I've been doing these YouTube videos, I've pretty much covered all the topics that I can think of. So if you have a scenario that you would like to run by me, then I'd be happy to try to help. As for this one right here, this one has to be the most interesting one that I have done so far. So we'll see what we can do. This one is filled with all of the typical stalking, targeting scenarios. That's why I think this one is a really good one because it just covers everything from gaslighting to the landlords being involved, to prostitution, to workplace mobbing, to paranormal spookism kind of stuff. It is all here in this one very long question. Okay, it is long, so let me try to move quickly and we will see what we can do because this is a lot to dissect here. Okay, so here it is. She says, "Hi, I've been watching your videos. By the way, good job. Thank you very much for that." Excuse me, I had to clear my throat, you guys. Um, she says, "I've been having a serious stalking problem since the summer of 2012 that I know of, when I started dating an ex of mine." Ooh, those exes will get you every time. She says, "It only got worse when I moved out. The stalking me, the break ins, the harassment, etc. I strongly believe that my now former landlord or slumlord is involved because of the things that were happening at the residence I rented from him. And from what I Googled on him, he was charged with giving himself loans, others loans, within millions of dollars. He's a real estate attorney. Last night was the first night I left. So I think she moved out, I think. She says, "I came to a hotel room where a former coworker of mine is staying and is dog friendly. I have a dog, and all night long, slamming doors in and out. And at one point, I believe someone was even standing right outside. My dog was sniffing, grounding, and boarding at the bottom of the door like crazy." Yeah, those dogs, don't ignore those dogs because um they will let you know when something's going on. Their senses are much more keen than ours, so pay attention to the dogs. So something probably was going on if your dog was doing all that. Okay, and then she says, "I couldn't even get away by staying in a hotel room. What is going on? Do you think my landlord has something to do with this?" And she goes on to say, doorbells ringing and no one there. Smoke detector goes off. I don't smoke or cook in that house. Lights went on 2 times by themselves in the middle of the night. My volume would go up and wake me up, would go off and no, excuse me, my volume would go up and wake me up. I sleep with the TV on, so I shut the TV off and the lights went on by itself." Ooh, that spookism stuff, huh? Yeah, I've experienced some of that myself. Numerous things have happened in that household. Things taken, things moved, mail delayed, mail opened, not receiving mail at all. And now this at the hotel. As soon as I put my head on the pillow, within 5 minutes, excuse me, the slamming of the doors, going in and out of their cars with the people next to me. Do you think my ex-boyfriend, who admitted he hired a private investigator and told me about it, and told me about my exact location? So basically, do I think that he's involved? But I don't think that's what it was. It was me finding things in my gallery like antivirus spyware, pictures in my gallery, screenshots of my gallery that I never took, things of that nature on giving my exact location when I didn't tell anybody where I was, and ever since then, all of this has been going on. Then she says, then I find an apartment, and it just continued and got worse as time went by, especially when I started dating someone else. Okay, let me scroll up. And she says, please contact me and tell me how to make the stop. Sorry, I can't make it stop. If I could, I would make all of our targeting stop. I don't know the answer to that. I have to be honest. I have not been able to get mine to stop, and um, I think most people would tell you they haven't been able to get theirs to stop. However, I have spoken with a person or two who has said theirs stop, but I don't know the answer to that. I just know how to survive it. So sorry, can't help with that. There's no magic pill. And then she goes on to say, this is ridiculous. I didn't get any sleep. Every 15 minutes, somebody was coming out and slamming their door, whether it be the door to the room or the door to the car. It was like they kept slamming their doors, and my dog kept barking and waking me up like they didn't want me to sleep. She says, when I came here, I visited the girl I worked with that was staying here, and someone called the cops on me. Within 10 minutes, the cops were here telling me that someone called saying that I was trying to break into places and prostituting. And they knocked on the girl I was visiting door and asked what was going on, and that they got a call someone was breaking in. I believe the gang stalkers are here. Yes, I'm pretty sure they were. And went and called the cops on us as soon as they saw me get here, saying I was trying to break in and prostituting and etc. I also believe some coworkers are involved, and a former coworker was targeted. She is at the same hotel, and is one of the reasons I came to this particular hotel, even though it's atrocious. All right, that's it. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. But this is a good example of uh, the stalking and the harassment. This is a really good example because everything's in here. Well, not every little thing, but there's an awful lot going on. And I agree with you that you are being seriously stalked and harassed. Um, and so let's just try to break this down a little bit. So let's start with the X, okay? Now the X could have possibly been your handler, possibly. Um, he could have been a honey trap sent to you. He could, I don't know, you didn't go into details about how long the relationship was or the nature of the relationship, but obviously it wasn't too good if you broke up with him. A lot of times these people are sent to us, and we've talked about this in many of my videos. Sometimes they may not have been sent to you, but they may turn on you. And we've talked about that plenty of times as well. So I'm thinking that somehow, I agree with you that he more than likely was either involved from the beginning or became involved in your targeting. Now, you said that your targeting increased when you broke up with him. I'm thinking that uh, that is because he was probably your handler, which means he was probably controlling your time, and he knew your whereabouts, and he was keeping tabs on you, okay? But when you broke it off with him and you moved on, they didn't have that level of control over you anymore. So maybe that's why you began to see more boots on the ground and more foot soldiers involved in your targeting, and an overall increase in targeting. That's just what I'm thinking because he wasn't there to manage you anymore. Okay, he didn't have that grip over you because you weren't dealing with him anymore. So they had to try to control you another way, so they increased your targeting. Now, you said that he had a private investigator following you and that he said to you, I know where you are. You are XYZ. You're at the corner store right now. And he was correct. He knew your exact location. That's dangerous. That's really, really dangerous. So I would suggest that you cut off all communication with him. Do not speak to him. Do not answer his calls. As a matter of fact, block his calls because at this point, he's stalking you. Whether he is officially involved in this stalking, because there's other types of stalking as well. I've actually been stalked by an ex, and it is not a pleasant experience. Okay, and I don't believe that my situation had anything to do with targeting. It was many years ago, but nevertheless, it's scary. So either way you look at it, this guy um is it sounds like he's stalking you. If he has uh private investigators on you, then that's not cool. Okay, don't deal with them. If you see him, go the other way. Call 911 because he's dangerous for you. Okay. Hopefully, this new relationship. You said you have someone else now. Hopefully, that's a healthy relationship. If it's not, don't be in denial about it because unfortunately, many people do become involved in our targeting. Okay, so do not be in denial about that at all. Don't be afraid to cut it off if that's what you need to do. Okay, because you have to take care of yourself. As far as your landlord, you wanted to know if I thought that he was involved. There's a strong possibility that your former landlord could have been involved because we already know that they try to get everyone around the target involved in the targeting. Now, whether or not that's successful, you know, maybe not. Maybe some people might say, no, I'm not, I don't want to have anything to do with that. But a lot of times, a lot of people will become involved. Anybody who is regularly around the target, unfortunately, tends to get involved. The landlords, I've heard many stories about the landlords being involved. So there is a strong possibility that he was involved in your targeting, especially if you're feeling that way because you know the signs of targeting. So I don't know, you didn't go into detail. I don't know if he was always popping up at your door or what he was doing. I don't know. But trust your instincts. If you feel that he was involved, then he probably was. I know when I lived in an apartment, when I look back, I can see now that yes, my landlord was definitely involved because she was doing the whole synchronizing thing. So I didn't know any of this stuff then, so I didn't know that, but I know that mine was involved. I have heard stories about how the landlord constantly pops up at people's apartments, how they constantly have exterminators and people coming to fix things, just constant, like overwhelming, overwhelming. How the landlords come outside every time the tenant comes out. So I've heard all those stories. I believe that a lot of people's landlords definitely are involved. They don't like to fix things. They just do all sorts of stuff to show that they're possibly involved in the targeting. So I would say trust your instincts on that. Um, as for the hotel that you went to, where your former coworkers stand, there was so much going on at that hotel that personally I probably would have left, knowing that the targeting follows you wherever you go. But if you can minimize some of the stuff, then minimize some of it. I'm not saying run because I know how that goes. No matter where you go, it's going to happen. But I think certain scenarios can be a little bit better than others. Okay. So with the slamming of the doors and people going in and out all night and going to their cars and all of that stuff, that's classic stalking 101 behavior. Okay. That stuff happens to most people who get the stalking. Okay. The neighbors over here constantly going to their cars, going to their trunks, all of that stupid stuff. You just have to ignore that. But the fact that it started 5 minutes after you got there, then it probably was geared towards you. It probably was, to be honest. Um, Also, a lot of TIs stay in hotels and motels just because of the living situation. But I would really suggest that you do your research before checking in because a lot of them are known for drugs and prostitution, which you mentioned in your email to me. So do your research. Do your research. Um, what else was I going to say about that? The police. You said the police were called. Uh, it's a possibility because you said that you felt that someone in the motel or the hotel, someone called the police shortly after you got there. That could be that could be that could be that someone called to say that you were prostituting and breaking in. However, because I know what I know about police harassment, because I get police harassment so heavily and have for a lot of years now, um, it's a possibility when no one called, because the police know the target's whereabouts. They definitely know mine. At any given time, they know exactly where I am because I deal with them every day. So maybe no one called. Maybe the police knew you were there and they just came there to harass you and to accuse you of prostitution and breaking into people's place. Just a thought, because I know a lot of these police are dirty. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. Okay. You also asked if I thought your former landlord had anything to do with the doorbells ringing. You said no one was there when the doorbells would ring. The smoke detector would go off. The lights turning on by themselves in the middle of the night. Your TV volume going up and it's waking you up. Excuse me. Yes. Your TV volume was going up, and it, you couldn't get any sleep, and the lights was going on and off by themselves, and all these things happening. Your mail being tampered with, open, all this kind of stuff, and you were wondering if your landlord was involved. That's hard to say. I don't know if your landlord's involved in that or not. I can tell you that um, stalkers do sometimes enter people's homes when they're not there. Um, so that could have something to do with your mail being opened and things being moved around. I know that the post office is 100% involved in my targeting. I get the mail people following me all the time. My mail is constantly open. They like to tear my mail on one corner to let me know whatever they want to let me know. And I've seen it come from the truck to the mailbox, so I know it's not someone doing that. Just recently, a couple months ago, the mail lady tried to force her way into my house. And that's the truth. And I called and reported her to the postmaster. That's another story for another day. But she literally tried to force her way into my house. And so the post office is involved, is what I'm trying to say, for some people. Of course, can't say all for, not it's not all post people who work for the post office, but they do have some involvement. So that could be what's going on with the mail. You said that your mail is delayed. I don't think the landlord has anything to do with that. It's so many people involved that everything is compartmentalized. So we can't really put it all on one person. You know what I mean? He could be working in conjunction with them, or they could be working separately, but they're all working against you. So I can't put it all on the manager. I think that you are sensitized to your landlord for whatever reason. I'm not sure what all he did to you, but it sounds like you're sensitized to him. And sometimes when we are sensitized to a certain stimuli or a certain person or a certain color or a certain whatever, we tend to want to think that everything goes back to that, or everything goes back to that person. So he probably traumatized you in some kind of way. But I don't think that he's involved in every single aspect. I think maybe some aspects, yes, but not every single thing. As far as the doorbell ringing and nobody's there, the smoke detector, that's all that spookism stuff. Okay, I have gone through that myself. We constantly get like a phantom doorbell ringing. Um, we heard this loud piano, so loud, and all of us heard it. It sounded like someone was playing a baby grand piano in the middle of my house, and we don't even have a piano. Okay. I've had my TV. I was on the phone with my sister one night, and my television just started flickering on and off, just like you described, flickering on and off and rolling, and the volume and all of this. Okay, I've had that. I've had my cameras are infrared. The cameras around my house are infrared, which means they pick up things that the eyes can't see. And a couple years ago, I played it back, and it was something flying around that I have never in my life seen. Was not a bird. It was not. It looked like. I think someone told me that they were orbs. Okay, which I don't know much about orbs, but it looked like some big swarms of dirt or something, or bats, or I don't know. I don't know. It didn't even look like a bat. Like some, I don't even know. But they were like swarming around and doing all this. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, I call that spookism. That's all that spooky stuff, That could be done by directed energy. It could be done by holograms. And I know I'm gonna lose some people here, but a lot of this stuff is spiritual. A lot of that stuff is spiritual. Could be witchcraft. Could be, I don't know, some kind of demonic spirits. But don't entertain it. Don't entertain it. When my television was doing all that, and I was on the phone with my sister, and I was telling her what was happening, and she was saying, "Get out of there." And I just kept talking. I turned the TV off, and I kept talking, because you can't entertain that kind of stuff, because if you do, it's going to keep happening, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse, because now they have found something that's going to get your attention. Okay, they found a fear point for you. So you have to ignore that stuff. And I know we get tired of ignoring, but you have to do it. Okay. What else did you mention? You mentioned so much. Okay, the spyware on your computer. You said that there's pictures on your computer that you didn't put there. That happens all the time. Several men have mentioned, like, pornography stuff on their computer that they didn't put there, child pornography at that, um, and other things. Okay, so just take that stuff off of your computer, because yes, they do hack into our computers. They do that. Just take it off or ignore it. What else? The dog barking. The dog barking. They will definitely do things to trigger your dog. They do it to my dog all the time. They'll trigger your dog, and then your dog in turn will bark and disturb you. And like you said, it deprives you of sleep. And sleep is very important, because sleep is a major, major part of mind control. If you research any of these mass shooters that have killed up all these people, you'll see that all of them were lacking sleep. That is a big part of mind control. So get your sleep at whatever cost. If you have to get it in the middle of the day, well, you said you work, so that can be real hard. But if you can't sleep, just rest. But you have to get your sleep. Okay, so yes, they will trigger the dogs. They will hurt the dogs. They will hurt the animals, the cats, whatever animal you have, they will. And then lastly, you said that you believe that your coworkers are involved. That's a strong possibility, because a lot of times, if the targeting starts on the outside, it'll end up in the workplace. If it starts in the workplace, it'll end up on the outside. So you can tell, because you know the signs of targeting. So you know if your coworkers are involved or not. What I wanted to go back to, the fact of the hotel, and how you said that, about the prostitution piece of all of this. I would like to suggest that I don't know if you plan to stay at that hotel, or if you've already left, or what, but for anyone listening, um, when you check into these hotels, just kind of observe to see if there's anything immoral going on, at these hotels. And I'm sure there's something immoral going on at all of them. But what I mean is, observe to see if there's prostitution, because a lot of these hotels have a lot of drug activity and prostitution going on, especially if they're, in certain neighborhoods, or if you're not paying that much for a room. Okay, so you want to be really careful about that, because you don't want to put yourself in those kind of atmospheres, Um, and I hate to say it, but make sure that your friend is not involved in any of those type of activities because you don't want what she's doing to project on you. So know who you're hanging around. And she's probably a good person. I think you said she's being targeted as well. I'm not sure if you were referring to her when you said one of your friends at work is being targeted, but just check it out before you stay there. Okay. If you are sure that your friend is on the up and up, then maybe you guys want to change hotels and maybe you two can become roommates. That'll help you save money and that'll also help you to have someone around you where you're not dealing with this stuff alone. As for your coworkers, do your research on workplace mobbing and harassment, and keep your distance when you're dealing with people at work. Just keep your distance. That's what I try to do to deal with the workplace harassment. And of course, take care of yourself because workplace harassment really um, takes a toll on your psyche because you're there 8 hours a day in a controlled environment, dealing with all these people coming against you, sabotaging your work, and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you do something to take care of yourself every day. I already said with that spookism stuff, with the TV and the lights and all of that, just act like you don't see that stuff. Try to act like you don't see it because the more you entertain it, see, certain things you can't even entertain. You can't even let it play in your mind. Because when I see that kind of stuff, and like I said, that piano playing and all of that, I plead the blood of Jesus and I go and sit down somewhere because I'm not going to entertain that. Okay, I'm just not gonna entertain it. Whatever happens, happens. I'm no. You know how you hear people who say they have these haunted houses and all that stuff. Mm-mm. Don't entertain that stuff. I'm telling you because spirits are real. They are. They really are. So just keep a right relationship with God and stay prayed up and just know that He's gonna protect you from that kind of stuff because He will. Because the more fear you show, I'm telling you, the more that stuff is going to happen. So try your best not to entertain that. As far as your landlord involvement, I'm kind of confused because I don't know if you have officially moved out of your apartment and you're officially staying at the hotel with your friend now. I don't know. I'm not sure because you weren't real clear on that. But for anybody listening, the targeting is going to happen no matter where you move to. Now, like I said, you might, if you're gonna stay in a hotel or something, you do want to try to put yourself in the best situation as possible. You don't want to be staying in a prostitution infected hotel. That's not what you want. Okay. So if that were me, I would move in that situation. I would get myself out of that situation, is what I meant to say. Um, but other than that, if you find a nice place that you can afford, is halfway decent, then get there and stay there because the targeting is going to follow you anyway. I don't care where you move to, it's going with you. Okay? So maybe you and your friend, if your friend, you really like her like that, maybe you guys can roommate or something and find you a nice place and put yourself in the best situation as possible. Try to see if it's a halfway decent neighborhood. If your apartment is secure, maybe you're up a few levels where you don't have to worry about people coming in through the windows or whatever. Okay. One of the things I did when I first moved here was I called the police department. I didn't know about the targeting back then, but I called the police department and asked how the neighborhood was. And I'm glad I did that. And that's probably something you guys should do before you move somewhere because they told me it's a pretty good neighborhood. These are the kind of crimes that have happened in the last couple years. It's mostly retired people on your block, which is good because that means people are home during the day. And so I was able to get that information. Also, I drove through at night because night shows a whole different thing than daytime. Okay, so do your research before moving into a place. And just know that you're going to be targeted. So the best thing to do is to get yourself in the strongest, mentally strong as you possibly can to deal with this stuff. Continue to go on with your life, continue to live your life. Don't hone in on each and every little thing that happens, because the more attention we give to each and every little thing, the more they say, that gets to her. So we'll keep that coming. So just put on a brave face and go on with your life. And I think that's about it for this one. Thank you, and I hope that this helps.